New phone, new technology, new microphone. How does it sound? Hopefully better. Just some organizational things before I start. This is the only live stream I'm going to be doing in the month of May, but in June I think I'm going to do 2 because there are 5 Sundays in May, and so that means 2 live streams and 3 videos. So I've also done a lovely poll recently on my community page, and I asked, where you are located, you nice people who are interested in joining my live streams. And I don't have millions and gazillions of people tuning in, but it seems that about 60% of the people who answered were in North or South America, 30% in Europe and Africa, this is time zones here, and then 10% in Asia and Australasia over to the east. So it seems that, my conclusion for that is that I'd really like to do my best to do my live streams at a time that's convenient for people in America. And it's going to be convenient for people in Europe anyway, because if I'm awake, you guys in Europe and the UK will probably be awake as well. And I don't want to do things too late in the evening because I need to concentrate. So I have been coming on at 6 o'clock London time, which is 7 o'clock in Germany. And that's pretty good for me. It's my brain's still active and I can have dinner afterwards. My question to you guys, mainly, I guess my American friends, is would you like me to do it a little bit later, like an hour or 2 later? I think maybe if you live on the west coast of America, you might have to get up fairly early on, slightly early on a Sunday morning, and maybe that's not fair. So I've done another poll today on my community page. So if you have a vote, if you have a preference, let me know and we can adjust it. And it's impossible for me to choose a time that's convenient for people in America and in Europe/Africa and in Asia/Australia. In other words, all over the whole world. That time doesn't exist. People have to sleep. So it may be that if there's enough people in Australia and New Zealand who want to join, I can occasionally do special ones for them and we can work out what time of day that might be. Not quite sure what it would be, but I guess I would do them in the morning. That's my little spiel about timing. Welcome everyone. Redwing is here. Good evening, Redwing. So, who else is here? Luke D. Hello, Robert, and everyone here. I'm Luke. Kisses from Brussels, Belgium. It's my first time with you. Very excited. Oh, how lovely. I've been to Brussels, I think, once, and I liked it very much. I spent the afternoon with a friend there, and I thought it was a very elegant town. I remember we had a lovely coffee in a gorgeous, rather old world cafe. And I think the Belgians are really cool and stylish. I do. Luke says, I've only known Tien Tarot for a few days and I have the impression that the same fresh and new wind that serves as your talented hairdresser is blowing over my noob vision of tarot. Good. Well, Luke, this channel is for people who are either new to tarot or very old to tarot. It's a kind of, I think and I hope that it's a kind of meeting place where we can exchange ideas and have fun, and I can sort of show you how I read tarot. I think that no matter how long you've been reading tarot for or how little you've been reading tarot for, you can just pick up ideas anywhere, and it's all good stuff. Sevenfold Goddess, hi from Ireland. Oh, hi, Sevenfold Goddess. Luke says, currently reading Paul Hewson, thanks to you, and I like it. Good. Talented Tadpole is here. I hope the sciatica is vanquished. That's very nice of you, Talented Tadpole. it's not exactly vanquished. I've had it now for 3 weeks, and it's like the graph of pain has gone down like that. But it as it comes down, I mean, it's much bearable now. As it comes down, it's sort of like it curves a bit. So now the pain is it's just really annoying. It's not kind of alarming and life destroying. It's just a bore. Um, and I'm just impatient to get back to normal. 3 weeks ago, it's a miracle I did this live stream because it was kind of like, I think it was my second day of sciatica, was it? And it was really painful and it was really taking my energy. So I'm taking lots of painkillers and I'm basically fine. Now, this is a new phone, by the way, and the chat seems to be smaller, or maybe my eyesight is failing. But anyway, I'll go close to the screen. I'll let my nose go big. E-Friends, Tricot et Tarot, evening all from the East Coast, USA. Oh, great. I hope it's not too early on a Sunday for you. Tanta Tabel says, I found core work and backrest vital. Also visualize tall. That's really nice. That's really nice. Tanta Tabel, I've been doing backrest, bit of core work. I've been a bit nervous about which exercises to do, but you know, my normal things. And I've been walking quite a lot. I find that you can kind of walk it out. You don't really want to be too, you don't want to spend too much time in bed, do you, with sciatica? Anyway, what did I want to say on the subject of tarot? Don't want to talk about sciatica for for an hour. We've got an hour together, everyone, so let's really enjoy it. I think that being in the YouTube tarot community is really brilliant. Like, for example, when I read a book, I've been reading Jodorowsky's Way of the Tarot in the past couple of weeks. And I found the book really puzzling and confusing and annoying. And so I went online, I think last week, and I put out a little recorded video and I said, please, someone help me to understand this book. Is it great? Is it nonsense? Is it accurate? Is it inaccurate? What is it all about? Because I don't know all that much about Tarot de Marseille. And I got some really interesting comments back. And now I feel more kind of more able to comment on the book. So I think this is the great thing about the internet and the internet community, which is that we can pool our ideas, and we can all, if we're all reading and discussing and trying things out with tarot, we can all say, oh, that works, that works, that works. And I've found just from talking to you guys and other guys online around this channel, I found clues about tarot which I haven't found in books. So that's partly what this live stream's about. Tonight it's discussion, but it's discussion mixed in with some readings. So I will do readings for you if you want. And the best readings, okay, the first thing I'd like to discuss is what are the best questions? What did Talented Tadpole say? Oh, Faraway Star. Hi, Robert and everyone. I hope you are feeling better since the previous live stream. Yes, I'm feeling much better. I do still have a problem in my right leg from sciatica, and it's a bit unpredictable. So I'm probably going to stop at, in terms of GMT, 7 o'clock sharp. So I won't overrun, guys. So forgive me if I just suddenly turn into a pumpkin. Okay. So today, okay, first things first, here was my reading for the session. We have, for me, the World card. So I seem to be in fairly good shape for this session. Sort of, you could say, all present and correct there. All the different parts of me are present and correct. Audience, a Queen of Pentacles reversed. Okay, so maybe someone will join, I would say, who's a bit discombobulated, a bit disgruntled, a bit not in her own or his, but their own best space there. But nevertheless, the session itself, the Six of Rods upright, a great success. We're going to have a great success this evening, so that's good. what I want to start the ball rolling this evening by putting out a question to you guys, a question for discussion, and this is it. Firstly, are all questions equally legitimate to bring to a tarot reader? That's one question. And secondly, if not, do we then, as tarot readers, we want to help people, don't we? And if we've met someone, if someone has been drawn to us, there's a reason for it. So if someone asks an inappropriate or difficult question, or a question which we don't want to take, is it okay for us to rephrase that question? Or do we say to the other person, oh, could you rephrase it in a slightly more sort of spiritual or evolutionary way? So I'd like to ask you, what do you think about the way we ask tarot, the way we ask tarot questions? And so if any of you have ideas, just let me know. And then we can actually put that into practice. Like, someone can ask me a question, go for it, preferably something that you care about, something that's on your mind and you would love to look at the cards with me. And then I could say, okay, that question's great, or okay, I want to adjust that question. What do you guys think? And by the way, the other thing is, can you all hear me properly? Because this is a new phone and it's a new system, and I have 3 phones now, and I have been using the phone from 2 phones ago because it had a better microphone, and my absolutely previous phone had a terrible mic. This phone, I think it's not exactly brand spanking new. It's a second-hand one, but it's a good second-hand one. It's a 13 mini, and I think it's got quite a good mic. Audio fine, Redring says, good. I'm glad. And it actually looks to me as if the picture might be slightly better than it was with the previous phone. Faraway Star says, I can hear you clearly. Okay, well, that was my question for discussion. Have a think. I'd also like to take things kind of slow. Luke says, fine for me on Windows. I'm not going to rush anything today, ladies and gentlemen. And one of the things I'd like to do is, if anybody is interested in me reading something and doing a reading for them, I'd like to offer a choice of decks. So here are the decks that I suggest. I've got more, but these are the ones that I suggest. We've got the Morgan Greer, which is a retro. It's a reprint of a 70s deck. So that's a retro experience. And it's got these rather lovely 70s images, quite a lot of men with moustaches, but the images are close up and quite punchy, and some of the colors are very warm and glowing, and some of them are kind of like rather sensual and sexy. Here's a death card, very red death card. So that's the Morgan Greer, representing the 70s for anybody who is into the analog world. I also have the Golden Art Nouveau Tarot, which is about 10 years old. It's a bit funny online, isn't it? Because it reflects so much. It's an Art Nouveau style by a lovely Italian designer called Giulia F. Masala, I think. I think it's her best deck. And this is a deck which is very good for sort of bringing prosperity into the readings. It's got gold all over it. Third one I'd like to bring in is the Melanated Classic Tarot. This is quite a minority indie deck by Julia Goolsby and Ubrid Tronshaw, and it's a People of Colour deck. So it's very Rider-Waite-Smith, very close, but all the skin tones are melanated. And it's got a particular colour palette, which I think is very, very nice. It's got, look at that purple there. They're quite warm and glowing colours, but different from the Morgan Greer. So There's the Emperor. So that's the third one. Okay. I will then start with an easy question, as I don't see any questions with the chat yet. I hope we're still connected. If someone asks me, what does this boy, call him X, or this man, this gentleman, what does X feel about me? Is that a question which, as tarot readers, we should take? Because it's a question which we get a lot. For example, if you do a live stream on something like Facebook in a tarot group on Facebook that has thousands of members, and you're just open to everyone in the whole world, and you say, okay, I'm going to offer some free readings, you'll get that a lot. What does X feel about me? And it's very often a woman asking about a man, because maybe men don't show their feelings. But people come to the tarot reading and they really, really need to know. And so the question is, should you take that question? Is it okay to sort of try to pick up on the feelings of a third person who has not been consulted? Oh, Elle Phillips, hello, how are you? We're just talking about appropriate questions and inappropriate questions. And my question is this: if someone asks a tarot reader the question, what does X, John or Joe or Sam or Samantha feel about me? Should we take that question or say just no? Or should we rephrase it? Elle Phillips says, well, thank you, hope you're better. Thank you, I'm much, much better. I'm not 100% or 100%, as they say in Germany, but I'm much, much better. Tainted Tadpole says, Elle Phillips says no. Tainted Tadpole says, either questions should take precedence. Other questions should take precedence. Today, a ridiculously big question comes to mind, so maybe interesting to think about shaping the inquiry and how it may resonate with the community here or not. Tainted Tadpole, what is the ridiculously big question that comes to mind? And sorry to squint, it's a new phone and my screen seems tiny at the moment. I'll probably get a new laptop soon. I mean, what interests me is, okay, Tainted Tadpole is going to come back to us. What interests me is, does the quality of the answer depend on the quality of the question? I think people come to tarot because they need guidance. And I think everybody deserves guidance. The question is, how directly do we answer these certain questions? Elle Phillips, yes, I did read the Jodorowsky book. And I did a shout out on I think it was on YouTube Shorts to ask for help because I found the book so weird, and it brought up so many extraordinary questions. I wasn't quite sure if I could really take it seriously. And I got quite a lot of help from other tarotists in the YouTube community. I'm not very versed in Tarot de Marseille, and so I wasn't quite able to compare it to any other Tarot de Marseille writers. I'm going to, probably tomorrow, I'm going to record a kind of a video, my thoughts about the Jodorowsky book. I think he's a really clever guy, very creative, and I think the book is a hell of a performance. But it's complicated, isn't it? It's got a lot of complicated factors. Faraway Star has written something. I feel like the tarot can answer any question, but each reader has to set limits based on their moral or ethical boundaries. I think that's true. I don't think you can get around that. I'll just carry on with what Faraway Star says, and I'll come back to Talented Tadpole. But at the same time, I feel rephrasing the client's question is awfully presumptuous. Okay. Do you, Faraway Star, do you think that we can negotiate a question, negotiate a rephrasing with the client? I kind of tend to agree. Flips, I've waited for your review. Yes, don't purchase it yet. It's a strange book. Okay, Talented Tadpole's message. England is very unsafe and terrifying for a significant number of people. There is a zone of interest thing going on. If anyone has seen the film, I have seen the film. Brutality and human rights abuses are escalating. And guys, we've got two conversations going on here, but now I'm concentrating on the Talented Tadpole. Brutality and human rights abuses are escalating and routine. And there is a veneer of normality. I suppose my question would be about survival navigation. Okay. Okay, Talented Tadpole, that sounds like an interesting question coming up. Sorry, my question is so heavy. Please do not feel obligated to respond. I'm interested in your question. I'm interested in whether tarot can talk about sort of national or global problems or issues, and I think it can. And also, guys, because this is like a club night, because I'm not really selling a product to people on the streets here. I feel I'm talking to friends here. We can read these cards together, So Talented Tadpole, my question is, okay, I find what you're saying interesting, but I don't quite know what the question is. I think I would need to ask you to actually phrase it with, with a question mark at the end, if you can. You said my question would be about survival navigation. So could you put that in one sentence, which is a question, and then I'll see if I can take it and draw some cards, and then we'll all see what we think. Faraway Star says, I've seen a lot of readers telling the clients what they should be asking instead of really listening to what the client wants to know. I think that is an issue. Yes, it is an issue. Maybe one should just give a yes or a no to a question. Yes, I will take it, or no, I won't. Al Phillips. Camellia Elias says, Read Like the Devil is all about semantics in tarot. I've heard about that book. I think I'm going to have a look at it. How do we proceed in such circumstances? Okay. I'm going to go back and read Talented Tadpole's first two paragraphs. England is very unsafe and terrifying for a significant number of people. there is a zone of interest thing going on, if anyone has seen the film. Brutality and human rights abuses are escalating and routine, and there is a veneer of normality. Okay, there's a veneer of normality. How do we proceed in such circumstances? Okay, let's do a very, very simple reading for that. There'll be an issue card and there will be 1, 2, or 3 advice cards, okay? I will, as this is quite general, I will choose the deck. Let's do classic Smith-Waite. How do we proceed in such circumstances? And guys, I'm not setting myself up as the person with the ultimate answers here. This is, to some extent, an exchange of ideas and techniques. So if anyone there wants to chip in with their interpretation of what these cards give us, feel free. Okay. Here is the issue, the Tower. And here are 3 advice cards. 3 of Cups, Fool, 3 of Batons. Now, I'm going to put these on my magnet board so that you can see them. And I'm not going to rush, guys, because we're here, we're relaxing into this thing. There's the reading. There's the issue. And there's 1, 2, 3 advice cards, okay? Now, for me, and I will tell you how I read this, and then feel free to come in with alternative ideas. For me, the Tower is a card of purging. I don't see it as a card of disaster. And incidentally, Jodorowsky sees it as a card of great celebration, but I really question that. I think it's where the devils are like, where Jesus, if you like, or some deity goes down into hell and chases the devils. So I think the devils are being chased out of the house here. This means that you're facing your demons, you're facing them down, you're dealing with them, and hopefully you're expelling them. And if there are human rights, let's say if there are human rights abuses going on in England at the moment, that's a demon that we have to face, okay? So that's our issue. Just the cards as they relate to Talented Tadpole's question. Now, I've got these 3 cards here, which are quite upbeat in some ways. So you're clearly not going to just carry on partying, are you, in the face of that very serious and concerning idea, the idea that people aren't facing up to these issues. But I think you can look at this card as a card of fellowship. I mean, Pamela Collins-Smith said that this was a card of a suffragette pledge. So it's actually, it's suffragettes celebrating their work. So in a sense, they were women whose life work was dedicated to human rights, I think you could say. And in this card, they pause to celebrate their work and their solidarity and the fellowship which they have with one another. Okay, so that's very important to be with the people who are who you're working with, who you agree with, who are on your side, and to celebrate the solidarity with those people. Fool, openness to new ideas, openness to new influences. What I'm getting here is the advice not to be dragged down by other people's, by what one might perceive as other people's bad behavior. But to remain open, because if you're not open, you can't get anything done. And the third card, Three of Batons, is definitely the card of pushing ahead with projects in an inspired and ambitious way. So that was a very that was a societal question, wasn't it? And I have tried to answer it in its own terms. If anyone has any comments on that, let me know. And maybe Talented Tadpole, you could tell me if you have anything that occurs to you, given that spread. So that's the issue, and these are the suggestions. Okay. Well, Philip says, this is why we need a prudence card. Well, I think the prudence card is a very interesting question, but you've lost me. Why do we need a prudence card? Was it something I said about Jodorowsky? I mean, maybe we do need a prudence card, but what did you mean? So guys, if anything's on your mind, if anyone's tuned in and you have a question to ask, I do have the time and the energy, so we could go there. Okay, Tanta Tebble says, thank you. My instincts are less positive, but I'd need to mull it over. And yes, the positive stuff is crucial. And L. Phillips has a darker interpretation. Okay, well, that's an interesting discussion as well, because, and this comes up in Jodorowsky's book, there is a question of positivity. And Jodorowsky's theory, for what it's worth, is that in a sense, all tarot readings need to push towards the positive. I guess the question is, are you looking for information? Or are you looking, in a sense, for support? I believe one is getting supported from the intelligences in the other dimensions when one does something like tarot. One does ask for information, but I think I'm asking for support. Alphilids, to me, it looked like someone is distracting the majority who seem to celebrate. Okay. And okay, Talented Tadpole's question was, how do we proceed? It may well be that that's happening. And it probably is almost certainly happening. But how do we proceed? Some truth in what L. Phillips says. Be aware. Is the three of batons then crucial? If we have people celebrating and being distracted, and here we have three of batons, is that for us? Three of batons is quite fiery, I suppose, isn't it? And it's quite pushy. Okay, let's put that to one side. The plan being made is being made while we are being distracted by three of wands. Okay, L. Phillips, and what is three of wands? What is the energy you see in three of wands? Talented Tadpole, awareness is hard and most choose not. Burnout is an issue. I think that's certainly true. I'll put the reading back again. We are three of cups, the one making war is three of wands. Oh. Okay, that is quite dark. And where's the advice? If we read it as, you know, the people celebrating and the people making war, then I guess we've got one more card to read there. We are fooled at the moment. Okay, so then that information, you're reading that as information which can be taken as advice to proceed, to know that you're being fooled. The country feels like the worst interpretation of the Tower to me. Okay. Yep. Okay. Nevertheless, we do have the question of I think let's put that to rest for now, and I will actually leave it to one side. And if anyone else has any ideas about it, chip in. The question of how we would proceed, I guess what you guys are saying is that we would proceed by taking that reading as awareness, okay? And proceeding with the awareness that we've taken away from the reading. The world, not just US. I think also that the other thing is that we're talking about, we are actually having a global session here because, correct me if I'm wrong, but Talented Tadpole is talking about England. And I think Laura is talking about, L. Phillips is talking about the US, or is that not just us? Talented Tadpole says, we must retain the pure and positive aspects of the Fool through whatever ensues. You're not hijacking. I think this is a really interesting session. And I think what you've done, Talented Tadpole, is you have you've taken my cue here, because we've made a structure here now. Okay, so if that's the war makers, and if that's the people celebrating, and if that's the state of the country or the world, then we then ask, what's that? Okay, because we have to take it that, as far as I'm concerned, the spirit guides, the other dimensional intelligences have given us a complete reading in which every card is there for a reason. So we have an idea for the Fool here. We must retain the pure and positive aspect of the Fool through whatever ensues. I think that's great. I think that's great. I suppose what I'd like to say is that my philosophy here is that no matter how dark the subject matter, and no matter how dark or depressing the in a sense the information coming back to us appears to be, I would always insist on finding something positive and something inspiring in those cards. I don't believe the cards could ever tell us to give up. Moontide 13, what about the light, brackets the sun, in the Fool breaking in on the tower as the lightning bolt? Well, you see, Moontide, my personal reading of the tower is not particularly negative, and I guess I don't take any single card as inauspicious, though a spread could be inauspicious. So I find, for me, the tower is a purging, and the purging can be painful, but you do it for a reason. You're driving out the evil, and I think exactly. I mean, it has been seen as enlightenment, the tower, hasn't it? And there is an energy coming down from the sky and sort of zapping the head, the crown off the tower there. So again, I suggest we do something else for the rest of the hour. I found that very interesting, guys. And Talented Tadpole, no, you didn't hijack the session. You asked a very interesting and, what's the word, very challenging question. And I think if we're going to learn about tarot, we should be challenged. Robert saves negative for reviews of beloved tarot classics. Lots of laughs. Laugh out loud. It's true, but I try to be fair. I was thinking the other day, am I evil when I review, tarot classics? Am I attacking people? And my answer to that would be, I feel I'm defending tarot in those circumstances, because I want tarot to be something that is really great, which is accessible for everybody, and which everyone can use and get inspiration from. That's why you subscribed. Well, that's a relief. Yes, I have. When I started off, I never wanted to say anything at all negative about anything, and then I realized that it becomes sort of dishonest, because there are things that I care about within the subject of tarot, and if I think a book, for example, is going to put people off tarot, then I would say so. And I mean, I'm going to do a review of Alexandra Jodorowsky's book, and it's a highly respected and highly influential book, but it has its critics, and I think I agree with them. I think it's a book that puts people off tarot, because I think it's full of some very strange factors. But yes, okay, I reserve my negativity for books and the occasional deck. Faraway Star. Tanta Tabo says, thank you. Not at all. You're honest, and that's hard to come by on YouTube. Tanta Tabo, also here for honesty. Good. Good. El Phillips. US games, echo chambers. Absolutely. Okay, here's a different question, and we're going to change direction here. And I'm squinting because I've got a new phone. Michelle Helvetian, do you think it matters what deck a person uses for a reading? Well, yes and no. And I'll tell you why. When I started tarot, back in the old days when there were still dinosaurs, those honest reviews brought me here. Good. Back in the old days, I started off with the Aquarian deck, which is this lovely, lovely, lovely thing. It wasn't in a tin, it was cards. I've still got the cards, but I don't use them anymore. I use the cheap tinned version. And you know, it's a very sweet deck. It's Art Deco, it's 1970s. It's a sort of rather simplified, sometimes slightly naive, but very, in a sense, stylish version of the Rider-Waite-Smith. Some people these days can't get on with it. For me, for me, it's the only thing. For a few years, it was the only deck I had. And now the Major Arcana is very pretty, but it's quite bad. Look, the Strength card, a man and a dog. What's that about? Emperor, okay. Hierophant, okay, but they're not Temperance. It's pretty, but it's not very good in terms of tarot symbolism. But I managed to learn enough about tarot to get up and running and moving with that deck, which I think I used for about 10 years. And then I got myself, not this version, but I got myself the Rider-Waite-Smith, and I realized gradually that it was important to work with that deck, at least as a kind of basic grounding. Part of the reason why I review tarot decks is that, again, I want to help people I want to point things out about decks to help people to make a choice. Because I think some decks that are being made these days, they stray quite far away from Rider-Waite-Smith. For me, also, you have to decide whether you're going to read Marseille or Rider-Waite-Smith or Thoth. Those seem to be the three main paths. If you take a deck which is different from those three and is very much its own thing, then in a sense, you're stuck with that system, and it'll be more difficult to find other decks that you can use. That's not to say that's a bad thing. You might find an eccentric deck which you absolutely love and which works for you. I think you can do divination with tea leaves. You can do divination with coffee grounds. You can do divination with objects found on the street, with bones. You can throw them onto the table and see where they land. It's really a matter of stepping outside your rational mind and allowing inspiration to come in sort of irrational ways. So on one level, it doesn't matter which deck a person uses. But I would like people to use decks that are intelligent and nice to look at and visually stimulating, and which do contain tarot symbolism. And like, for example, I don't really recommend the Aquarian, even though I love it, because this Temperance card, is just an Art Deco angel. It doesn't really contain any tarot symbolism. It doesn't contain the two um, the two cups of liquid. You know, the one thing that temperance is doing is mixing liquid from one, pouring liquid from one cup to the other, and that's just not there. And equally, you know, I showed you the strength card. The strength card is a man and a dog. It should be, you know, I mean, strength wasn't always a woman. In very early tarots, it sometimes was a man. It was Hercules, but it was a human being taming a lion, taming a strong wild beast. And there is something there about, you know, taming the energy of your lower chakras, or some sort of agreement with the upper and the lower chakras. It should be there. And it's not there in that card, is it? You just have to make do with the pretty picture. So, so I wouldn't really recommend the Aquarian deck to a beginner, because you're just going to miss out on a lot of the wisdom. L. Phillips. I read all three with RWS because I cannot not see Pamela Coleman-Smith's images. I think that's reasonable, if I've read your message right, L. Phillips. Yeah, after years of RWS, I can't use a different system if I wanted to. Impossible for me. I have tried with Tarot de Marseille. I absolutely can't, and I can't with Thoth. I'm incapable. I couldn't. The Thoth just drives me up the wall, and that's it. You know, the deck that you start with is probably the deck. The system you start with is probably the system you will stay with. So you could read Thoth for your whole life, and it would be fine. Talented Tadpole says, rampant deck consumerism on YouTube. I so agree. Not being bitchy in particular, but there are some tarot reviewers who will review like, what, a deck a day? That's like 365 a year. What are we meant to make of all that? Dark Fade Tower, hello, welcome. I'm here for another 9 minutes. I'm sorry that you've just caught us at the tail end of a session, but you know, it'll be recorded. You can see it later. Dark Fade Tarot, do you have a question? We're discussing, actually we're having a sort of a club night here. We're discussing how to read tarot and what questions are suitable and which decks are suitable. Faraway Star, so how do you read this deck? How do you read this deck? Do you just remember the meaning instead of reading the image? Do you mean Aquarian? Yes. I mean, I started out with one deck and one book. I was 19, and the book was The Tarot by Alfred Douglas, and it's not very good on Major Arcana. So actually, for many years, I didn't read the Major Arcana very well, or the court cards. It's quite good at the minors. So now, if I use this deck, I see strength, and I think of the woman with the lion. Yeah, I translate it into RWS. Yeah, exactly. Way more consumption than use. Absolutely. People just buy decks, and they're not using them. You only really need one deck to read tarot, maybe 2 or 3 for different moods. But if you possess 2,000 decks, do you really have 2,000 moods and one deck for each mood? I don't think so. Dark Fade Tarot. Hey, thank you. I think reviews are really walkthroughs these days. I review after several weeks with the deck. Quite right. Quite right. I mean, yeah. I think if you're experienced, you can do a first reactions review, or you could live with the deck for a month or for 6 months and see how it works. I have given decks good reviews, and then tried to work with them and realized I didn't like them because there was something wrong with the colors, or it just didn't sort of develop for me in the way that I thought it was going to. Oh, Phillips, I love consuming tarot decks, whatever's lol. They are extremely consumable. They are an object of desire, aren't they? Angie, do you think that the RWS minor arcana limits the meaning because of the illustrations? I think that is the criticism of Pamela's minors, but I think Pamela was so brilliant that she in a sense she did limit the meaning, because if you've got a Tarot de Marseille and you've got these pip cards, my problem is the meaning is just so huge and so open and so abstract that, personally speaking, I don't know where to begin. And I think with Pamela, the meanings it is all less abstract in the minor arcana, but I'm not sure that bothers me. I think her meanings, some of them are still quite mysterious. There's the guard in the background walking away, with his back turned. What does that mean? What's in the cups there, and so forth. And here, not bad. The hawk. The hawk is going. She's rich, and the hawk's going to go and hunt for her and make her even richer. And there's a snail there on the floor. The energy's getting a bit sluggish in that card. I think if anyone else had done the RWS, the illustrated pips would have limited the meanings. But for me, it's just the right mix of the abstract and the particular. Ooh, there's lots more comments. I've got to finish soon, guys. Michelle says, I wonder if you think the presences, as you call them, might answer a question sarcastically or even dishonestly when using a certain different deck. I would say not, Michelle. Whenever I ask for guidance, I always, every time I shuffle the card, I have a kind of like what you might call a holy, protective, instantaneous visualization I do, because I only want to communicate with anyone who is on the other dimensions, who is positive and loving and who is connected to me. So I think sarcastically or dishonestly, no, but I think that's a huge and very important question, which we could look into. I'm not a big expert. I've always trusted the answers, because I think if your intentions are relatively pure, whatever that means, I think you attract good intelligences into your space, good presences into your space. And as I say, I think you should have some sort of visualization to protect yourself and keep the energy high quality whenever you do divination. How do they taste? Alphabets, how do they taste? One deck is no fun. When we started, there were only a few true. Nontas. Why you took that bird nest and put it on your head, bro? Hey, Nontas, congratulations for getting into my session. I'm online for 2 more minutes. So it would take more than 2 more minutes to explain the significance of my appearance, but it could be done. Dark Fade Tarot. As I recall, Caitlin Matthews does a great essay on the Marseille, and then the reduction of imagination with RWS depiction. Well worth reading her work. Okay, thank you. I'm on for tips. Is that him? Explain, please. Faraway star. Yes, I think it is L. Phillips. Well, this is marvelously mysterious. Nontas Alexiou, I do 1 hour. So I started at 6 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time. I'm going to finish at 7 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, which is in about 30 seconds. So no, I don't have time to answer your question, which is a bit fresh, frankly. Your reading for the session was correct. It was, wasn't it? There was a reversed Queen of Coins who popped up, and here she is. I remember the Crazy Soldier. I mean, I'm on for engaging with more or less everybody, but not when dinner's cooking. Dark Fae Tarot, thank you and hope to catch you next time. It would be great to explore topics such as different systems. Dark Fae Tarot, I have a feeling that your knowledge might be more than mine, and I look forward to your tips, and I'm excited, yes. I'm very RWS, but I have just started to read about Marseille, and let's talk about that. Let's talk about that, everyone. Tanta Tabo says, you and your hair and community are fab. Dark Fae Tarot, too kind, great to learn together. Okay, everyone. Well, it's been really interesting. Results of the poll. Have a great evening. Thanks for your advice. I'd like to continue some of the issues at another time. Yes, let's do that. And by the way, the poll, I talked about this just actually right at the beginning, maybe before you came online, that 60% of the people who are interested in my live streams are in North or South America. So it means that, oh, thank you, Red Wing. It means that I could offer to do these sessions an hour or two later on Sundays, or maybe on Saturdays, depending. So if you guys are in America, is it inconvenient for you this time? You have to get up and turn your machines on. Would you like it if it was an hour later? That's the question. And I've done another poll in my community page asking exactly that question. Luke says, thank you very much. It was really interesting. I will come back. By the way, we are waiting for your book so much. Okay, I'm going to London next week and I will talk to my co-author and we will design the book and design the Kickstarter. It's just it's my half of the book is a fairly simple how to read tarot book. Michael's half is a bit more subtle. It's more about using tarot for workshopping and brainstorming and things like that. So the book has two halves. My bit is just quite straight ahead. Peak Dharm Tarot. Oh, you're Peak Dharm Tarot. I see. What a great name. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Peak Dharm. El Phillips. People think I'm having a secret relationship. I bounce at 1 p.m. every Sunday. Moontide. Thank you for the session. Take care. Okay, thanks, everyone. I promised I'd stop at 7 o'clock GMT. I'm going to stop now and look after my sciatica and have a nice dinner. Wherever you are in the world, thanks for tuning in. I will be back in June. It's not weekly. It's usually once a month. In June, I think we'll do twice in June. So I'll be back in, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks' time. I will announce it and schedule it. So bye, everyone. Bye. Take care.